Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the island. In this week's episode, follow along as me and my brother work on the log cabin, pick the first blueberries of the year, and enjoy some of the island's beautiful summer weather. Looks like we're in luck, Lando. I'm doing it for once. Usually they always fall apart. Almost forgot to add blueberries to these. Alright guys, so me and Peter are going to start working on the cabin a bit, and we discussed with you guys in one of my earlier videos and kind of decided that it might be better to work on the front logs here and kind of build up at least to the top of the window frames before moving on the back. For a couple reasons. That way we can kind of get one side of the cabin done a lot faster and see what it's going to look like. And then also it just, will make the whole build process feel a little bit smoother working on one side instead of working at both on this at the same time. So we've got one front log still cut up, like a very front log, like one of these, and then we've got one peeled log left before we have to start peeling some more. So with that peeled log, I just measured out the front side log for this part of the window frame, and then we should be able to get two more very front logs from that, and then we'll peel another and try and get two more side logs. So with that all done, the cabin should be about up to here, which would be a lot of progress. So we're going to see if we can get that all done in one day. With working with logs, it really just depends, because some are super easy, some are really hard, and with the varying log sizes, that also comes into account, because if you put a big log on a small log, that log's going to be very easy because the notch you're going to be making is about like that high, maybe. But again, if you do it the opposite way, like if we put down a big log, thick log, and then put a skinnier log on top of it, the notch is going to be a lot wider, which takes a lot more time. But yeah, our goal for today is to try and get as many logs as we can up and hopefully peel some of them as well. We have a new peeler that I want to show you guys. Compared to the draw knife style one we've been using. This one's got a big blade on a pole and you just kind of whack it, and we saw it on a lot of videos. It looked like it worked. We haven't had a chance to really test it out yet, but we did pick one up, so hopefully that kind of speeds up the process with two of us working on it at once. And then later today, we want to do a meal over the fire, just because, as you guys know, it's been very rainy this spring and summer, and we haven't had much chance to be outside and do the usual things that we would be doing. So while we have this nice weather, we want to cook a meal, probably like short ribs or normal ribs over a crock pot on the fire. A little down.
Need the electric chainsaw for this edge here.
Yeah.
it's the one side. Oh, there we go.
We'll have to trim quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's heavy when it's pressed against there.
Yeah, so the problem is the bend in that log.
Yeah. It's just, since we were trying to use every single log we had, usually I wouldn't use something with a bend like this, but we need to use every single log, so we'll just have to trim it down a bit, and it should fit perfectly. The notch and everything's perfectly smooth, and it is measured right. We just need to trim this down and it'll slide on.
So just a, yeah, it's pretty good. How does it look on that side?
Looks mint on this side. I forgot.
Alright, well this tool is really come in handy. We haven't really used it since I first got it in the wintertime, but using it now I could get these two decent sized logs done in like an hour. So it cuts the time down drastically. I don't even know by what, but generally it would take more than an hour to do one when you're doing it with a draw knife. Just because you can only get a limited area and a small amount of bark off each time, and then also the blade can sometimes get gunked up with this pith, I think it's called, this thin stuff that's underneath the bark. So yeah, this thing is a game changer for peeling. We got 2 logs done and we're gonna measure them right now, cut them up, and start notching away.
That one's 70, right? That's it?
Yeah.
Left. Got that thicker log on it.
Bring it right up to the other side of that knot. Just getting the knots off of this new log since it's fresh peeled. Still got a lot of them. They're kind of like glass because they're full, if you could see it up close, they're full of sap. Just like hardened sap wood. Just getting into some of the tighter spots that the pole couldn't really get to. I'm trying to make it look a little nicer. So these can be rough right now because once we finish with the walls, me and Dan are going to sand the outsides, like the parts that aren't scribed, or the parts that aren't sitting on top of each other. We're going to sand them down and then eventually shellac them, like treat it kind of, and then do some sort of sealant on them, like what all these old cabins used to have.
Wow, this thing's heavy. Well, as you can see here is a little bit of what I was mentioning earlier about since we have to use whatever log we have at the proper length for each spot, sometimes we end up having large thick logs like this over thin logs like this, and then on the other side we have a really thick log over a really thick log. So you can tell in the difference of the cuts for the notches. This one's going to be a really deep notch because it has to go fully over this big thick log, where that one's only like 2 inches deep because it's only going over a smaller log. But yeah, they're not really like any different. They're just as hard as the other. With these ones, you can just whack them out pretty easily since they're such big chunks, like that. It just all comes down to basically your precision with the chisel. So we'll see how we do.
Not to mention, with our chainsaw, it's a beauty. It's a 500 fuel injected steel chainsaw, so it's a really nice one. But for doing high up notches, a 170 would do. If not like a 270 or 261, it'd be like half the weight, if not even less. And that'd be really handy for when you're trying to do precision cuts, as well as when you touch the trigger on that thing, it really cuts. So I'm doing my best to be precise, but it's hard to not like go just an inch deeper, which can make the notch look a little bad, or not cut enough in fear of overdoing it and then you're ended up with a lot more to chisel away, but it's not too bad.
Another thing I like to do when I'm notching out these logs is run my chisel along the pencil line first and not go too deep, but just basically go around the outer rim about an inch deep or so. That way when you really start chiseling in, it doesn't flake out here, because like if I were to start chiseling down here, it could crack along the wood. And when you do that, then it just automatically stops at where your chisel went through and makes it a lot smoother. Well guys, we got a lot done today. We got about 6 logs up, and we have another one peeled that's ready to be cut up and mounted. Unfortunately, we're not going to have time today to finish this front log because the sun's setting, and we wanted to cook dinner over the fire tonight. But we got it mounted up there, so all we need to do is scribe it and notch it. But it's pretty amazing seeing how high the walls have got. We're both about 6'2", and the walls are about past our shoulders or to our shoulders, depending on which side. And as soon as, like I was saying in one of my earlier videos, as soon as the logs start getting next to the window, then it really starts to feel like a cabin. So I'm looking forward to getting it up to here, which will really only be about 3 more logs up, or even 2 with how thick the new logs we're working with are. And then we'll do the same to the back. And then once that's done, we start with the full-size logs again, going over the window and the door frame. And then we still haven't decided yet what kind of roof we're going to do. If we're going to go with the slanted roof like this, which is how the original one, the cabin that used to be in this spot, had the roof. And that way we would just lay logs, cut them on an angle, and put the roof going sideways like that. Or if we would do more of the traditional style like that. That seems like it would be a lot more work, but it would definitely give us more headroom. I think what it will come down to is just how many logs we can actually use of the old logs, but then also how many we can find, because if we can go higher up, then the flat roof will be totally fine. If we can't, then the what would you even call that? What's a normal? Like that. Then the normal roof style would give us a lot more height, and it might be worth it. So yeah, we'll think about that as we keep getting the walls higher. And if you guys have any suggestions, then let me know. You want to grab some of these pieces and light a fire?
Yeah, I'm gonna grab the cardboard.
Already burnt it.
All of it? All right, fire's going now. Starting out with a bunch of pine wood, like softwood, just to get it going fast. Gonna keep adding more softwood to get a good base of coals going, and then we'll grab some of our hardwood that we have stacked up from over winter. It's all odd and end pieces that we couldn't use inside. It'll be perfect for just burning up into coals. Once we have a nice big bed of coals, we'll keep a little mother fire going, and I'm gonna take 2 big racks of ribs, lay them out on this grill. They'll be right over whatever little fire's left, mostly just coals for heat. And we'll cook them like that for, I'll say, about an hour, but it depends on how hot the coals actually are. So it could be like half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And then wrap them in tin foil and then let them cook until they're soft, basically. And like 20 minutes before they're just perfect, I'll put a bunch of barbecue sauce on them. Of course, I'll salt, pepper, and dry rub them before they even go over the fire. But hopefully everything turns out well, because that'd be a delicious meal. I think also on the coals, I've got a couple acorn squashes, which we don't really have any other use for. Let's throw them in the coals to cook them, kind of like how our mom always does. And then maybe the odd onion and other vegetable as accoutrements. But it's hopefully gonna turn out, because then that'd be a great hearty meal after a good day working there. We've got a couple of cousins up already as well. One of the families is up on at their cabin, so you might hear them out tubing. All the little kids are having fun. It's fun to watch. But today was a great day working on the cabin. Got a lot more logs than what I expected on. That peeler really made all the difference. It pays dividends to just invest in something like that, because it was relatively expensive for just a single tool. But I think with the progress we're making, it's a lot easier to see what the end goal is going to be, because it feels like it's been forever working on this cabin, and that's with time away and with delays, and over winter not much to be done in like minus 40-degree weather. But now that it's prime summer and I'm going to be here all summer, me and Dan can just work together and get her done.
Well, that felt amazing. That's the best way to cool off and wash off all the wood chips from working on the cabin today. And just to top things off, we have an absolutely beautiful sunset tonight.
Just clean the ribs, getting the salt and pepper and dry seasoning on them, as well as the olive oil. I'm using basil olive oil. And then once the dry rub's on, this will go over the fire. And 3 racks, not because me and Dan are probably gonna be able to eat a whole 3 racks of ribs tonight, but that's what was in the package. So cook them all up, make them all nice, and then we'll have lunch tomorrow and the next day most likely, or lunch and dinner. But yeah, at this height I'm gonna watch them now. They're fairly high above all those coals. I'm keeping the surrounding logs that have flame kind of around the outside, still letting them burn so that we have future coals to go underneath this, but I think it's pretty good right now. It's looking good.
Nothing quite compares to a day working on a log cabin with your brother up here in such a beautiful area, and then going for a swim to clean off, and to top it all off, cooking your dinner over a fire. Those ribs look nice and toasty. Putting them over the fire like that will give them a nice kind of char on the bottom, which will keep a lot of the moisture in, and then also add to the smoky flavor. And then now that they're in the tin foil, all the juices should stay in, and it will just slowly cook for the next 45 minutes or so, and they should be good to go. I'm really looking forward to it. It's been a while since we've had such a high protein meal, so after a long day of work like that, we're definitely going to need it.
I'm going to place these 2 acorn squash right in the coals. They should cook kind of like an oven. The sides of it get a little bit burnt, but the inside cooks really nicely. Then I'll also throw some 2 onions on the edge there, and we'll be good to go. They're smelling really good and they feel really soft. They were about to break in half when I was pulling them off the fire there. I just kind of had to get them off quick. And Dan's busy right now, but 3 racks of ribs are done. The acorn squash is still cooking in the fire, so it'll be another minute, but the onions are done. They're nice and soft. You can kind of see the outside's charred, but you'll peel away the layers of the onion and it gets to a really soft, yummy inside. Let's see if I can do it here with this. Yeah, try to keep the charcoal off of the onion, but you can see there's a really nice onion in there. So we'll let these rest for 10 minutes or so, 10-15 minutes, while the acorn squash is still cooking, and then they should be ready to eat. Get it. Alright, so acorn squash are off. They were super soft. I tested them with a fork. Goes right through the whole thing, really easy. So the hard part with cooking over the fire is the ashes and charred flesh of the vegetable on the outside. So I'm going to cut these into like quarters and then move the interior kind of like pumpkin inside of these, the seeds and all that, out. Try to scoop out the stuff and put it onto a plate, and then we'll dish from that.
probably was right. Looks like something one might find in an alley. What's the price got to do with it?
It's not the price, it's the numerals. Naturally, someone must want to see us rather badly if you've got all that trouble.
Look at Holmes. Careful.
Well, guys, the ribs turned out great. I think I'm going to call the video here. I said in last week's video we would discuss a little bit more about the prospect of looking for a property where me and Peter would start our own homestead, and that's still ongoing. I'm not going to talk about it too much in this video since I think it's already going to be like 30 minutes long. But I will say that we are still looking for one. We're looking a little bit farther. Originally, we were looking around this area here in Ontario, which we're still really considering, but we're also looking at some other provinces and, you know, even farther abroad. So we'll keep you guys updated on that whole situation, and I'll talk a bit more about it in next week's video. But again, thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. As always, thank you for all your comments and your support here on the channel, and a special thank you to those of you who have subscribed to my Patreon channel. Your support really means a lot, and it helps me to be able to keep doing what I love doing and bringing you guys new content each week. And as always, I will see you guys next time on another adventure.